Hi, it's like take five. My name's Daryl. I also go by Dee, and I'm here to give you an update on Vedic astrology and the current astrological and astronomical events that are happening this week. Vedic astrology is slightly different than Western. Won't go into the details now, but I'd really would like to go into a deeper dive just to give those that are curious an understanding on why it's different and what's different about it, and how Western is scheduled upon our tropical zodiac and sidereal. Vedic astrology is based on sidereal, and that's actually in the sky, like linked to the stars. So first and foremost, I wanted to tell you that what we're having is a full moon this week. And most would say, oh, full moon, I'm going to put my crystals out. I'm going to get myself charged up. Nay. We are having a partial eclipse, a partial lunar eclipse. And that happens when, let me actually show you. I think I have got a picture here. This is a bit much, and this is different parts of eclipses. But what I really want to show you is this right here. It's when the Earth goes between the sun and the moon. So here's the sun, and here's the moon, and here's the Earth. So it's going right through here, and this creates a shadow in this eclipse. And what's interesting about that is that it's happening while it happens because it's close to the north and the south nodes. Let's go back to another image I want to just share with you as well and give you an update. So these lunar eclipses, when we have a full moon, typically you would want to charge your crystals or bathe in the moonlight. But in Vedic astrology, it's thought that these luminaries, the sun and the moon, are the luminaries, right? The sun is this giver of life. It's this essence of who we are. It's connected to us as our soul. And the moon is considered to be our mind, the fluctuations within our mind. And it's also our emotional capacity. And when either of those are cut off from one another, it creates a darkening. And some go to the extreme and say, what? I can't go outside. And back in the day, that's really truly the advice that the astrologers would give, is not to go outside at all, and don't go out during a solar eclipse, or especially if you're pregnant, you don't want that imprinted on your baby. We're not going to go to that extreme, or I prefer not to. I would like to say that it's a time to look at what we can do when the light's removed, which is to go inward, right? Like even in wintertime, it's an obvious invitation to slow down, to tuck in, maybe to review what you've got going on within your immediate home. I mean, you can't go out and run in the dark. You can with a headlamp, but you know what I'm saying, not without effort. It's nature's invitation for us to come back into sync with nature, just to get quiet and go inward. So when there's a lunar eclipse, same thing. It's a review of our emotions and what it is that you can do in order to maybe quiet yourself or slow down a bit. And oh gosh, is this the right one? I wanted to share with you this. Yes, here we go. Here's our current transit according to Vedic astrology. This is the South Indian chart. You'll see the moon here, and Rahu, which is one of the nodes, and the sun here in Ketu. And see how the moon is at 3.5 degrees, same with the sun. This is direct opposition. This is what creates the full moon. So what I'd like to share about is the moon is exalted in this placement in Taurus. And Taurus is the sign coming from this fiery place of Aries into an earth-like quality. So the moon, being our mind, can tend to be all jumpy and motivated, and from here to there to creation to moving. And when it comes to Taurus, what it does is it helps us evaluate and slow us down enough to anchor in, and to maybe give us pause to consider like where we can be stable, where we can when we can reassess. This area is ruled by the planet Venus, which is about our happiness and our sustenance. And you'll hear people describe a Taurus ascendant as somebody who could be stubborn, or who really likes their way, has a hard time turning them around, doesn't want to be flexible. There's different varying degrees depending on how Venus is in your chart and where Taurus is in your chart as well. So if you happen to be a Pisces, it's your third house, and this would be the area about siblings and ego and connections and rivalry and your own self-will. So you might notice here with the moon and Rahu here would give pause to, or give this these subtle I'm going to say vrittis, but think about your mind as being this luminary, this open expansion, this connection. But Rahu kind of creates this forward thinking immature placement. So when they're together, it's exacerbated. So even though it's doing really well here and may want us to feel like we're grabbing onto things, can also give you can heighten your sense of imagination, perhaps, or your sense of desire. So really watch what you think is going to help you move forward. And interestingly enough, Rahu tends to cover us in a way where we can't see what is driving us. So just know that if you happen to feel extra rigid, maybe, or not wanting to move forward, or not willing to listen to somebody else, or not willing, if you're just noticing it's a little much, this is most likely it. But what you can do about that is maybe detach from whatever you're aiming to pull into yourself, and generally in this placement, we'll want to pull the things in. I just was going to show you really quickly this book too. This is by Dennis Harness. He's one of my favorite astrologers and a really good teacher. He's doing a conference right now in Sedona and for Vedic astrology. And he put together, it's this lunar mansions of Vedic astrology. This way again. Blah, there we go. Nakshatras. Because not only in each of these signs, we have nakshatras, right? You can see Kri. This means Kritika. And so when the moon is in this area, it creates a sharpness. Kritika is another star constellation, and each of these planets land in different constellations, star constellations too, in addition to the houses, and they have their own rulerships. So it's really, Vedic astrology is so layered, and it's not something you just go, oh, poof, there, you got it, you understand it. I'm still constantly learning, and there's so many nuances. But so the mind being here, Kritika means to cut, it's sharp. Let me give you some other, if you were born with your ascendant in Kritika, your ascendant would be dignified, proud, honorable, depending on the degrees, right? This depending, I feel like a lawyer, depending, it depends. Truthful, honest, wavering mind at times. But when the moon is here, it can be peaceful. One could act peaceful, feel peaceful, but be intelligent, but the mind will feel unstable. Rahu, right? It could be an over attachment as a mom, or to your mother, perhaps. You might be worried about things like that. Anyways, that's a lot to unpack in just a very short period of time. And just notice too that the sun here is with Ketu, and the sun has just moved into this placement, or will on the 19th, right? This is the wee early morning hours of the 19th. And the sun is our capacity for, it's our identity, right? This is how we feel either our power or lack thereof. And in this area of Scorpio, the tendency is for this deeper uncovering, the spiritual evolution of us becoming comfortable by uncovering, discovering, and discarding, knowing that we are eternal beings, and remembering that it's not them that make us feel good. It's not this thing that I'm going to buy, and it's not that class I'm going to take. I am eternal. And what am I here for? And if you're showing up the best that you can, then you're doing okay. And you might have the feeling that I've done this already. This K2 might give you this feeling of, why am I here again? What am I doing this for? Anchor in, go inward, come back with this moon, take it slow, do some self-care, review parts of your life that you've ignored for a little while. And we still have this Jupiter and Saturn here together. Now Saturn and Jupiter both are direct going forward. So Jupiter is now kind of feeling, even though it's not in its amazing placement, doesn't do well here, it's still together with Saturn. They don't hurt each other. They're not inimical towards each other. So we still want structure. We're still reviewing structure. And it's just a really sweet time, I think, honestly. I'm looking forward to see how it plays out for me, because I've been a bit of a spaz lately. But I'd love to hear how it's working for you. And if you want to know where your natal moon resides and how this is going to impact you, or where Taurus is for you in your chart, hit me up, let me know, send me an email, direct message me through Instagram with your birth details, the time, the date, location, and exact time. I once had a client, and you think, oh, it's a couple of minutes, but I once had a client who one more minute was going to make her relationships debilitated or not, like challenging or not. So it really truly does matter. But that's just your blueprint, like what's happening when you're born. And this is our current transit. So that's a lot to take in a small period of time. But I would love to hear from you, and please don't hesitate. All right, hang in there. Enjoy the full moon. Keep your crystals inside. Okay, thanks. Bye.